Good morning. This is Jonathan Gorman from iCreative, and I wanted to create a short video that covered many of the topics that we went over in the class. So the majority of what we talked about was the phone app and the messages app. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over many of the concepts that we talked about in the phone app. So if I select our phone app and I go over to the favorites, remember that the favorites are where we can create what we would call a speed dial, a list of the people that we're talking to with great regularity. I use the example of being, doing a project and needing to contact a handful of people and having them quick and easy access. So to do that, to add someone to my favorites, I'm going to click on the plus top left. This is going to reveal all of my contacts and allow me to do a quick search of the person I'm trying to add. So if I wanted to add my friend Bob, and I click on my friend Bob Sipovac, it's then going to reveal all of the different ways that I can add a favorite to this list. And in this case, I just want to add a phone number. I'm going to add Bob's iPhone. So I'm going to tap on iPhone from the list and it gets added, but now it's at the very bottom of the list. In order for me to change the order of this, I'm going to click on the edit button. And now I'm going to see the red delete option on the left and the right, what we called the hamburger icon to the right. So if I click and pull on the hamburger, I can then change the order of any of these contacts so that I can make it a little bit more convenient for me to have him at the top of my list because I'm going to be calling him quite a bit. When I'm done changing the order, and of course I can wipe out anybody by hitting the red button, when I'm done making my changes, I click on the word done top right, and sure enough, it gets saved. At this point, I could tap on that person's name. It's also shown me which of the numbers of his I've added to my favorites, and that's, in this case, his iPhone number. Next, we talked about recents, and if you cruise down on the recents, you're going to see that the phone with the arrow jumping out of it means that that was an outgoing call. I can also click on the blue eye to the right of any of these entries, and I can get more of the information for that particular person. That's pretty handy. If I want to look at the list of all of my missed calls at the very top of the screen, instead of having all selected, I could click on missed, and this shows me everybody that I've missed a call from recently. If I wanted to, I can put this list into edit mode and I can start wiping out anybody that's in my recent call lists. And that is about all there is to it. Now you can see that the Rick Aoyama does not have the phone with the arrow jumping out of it. That means that that was an incoming call to me. If I wanted to get a little bit more information about that call, I can tap on the blue eye for that call and I can see right here that it was yesterday was when the call happened at 8:14 p.m. and the call only lasted for 19 seconds. That's pretty handy. Also, as you scroll down the list for this person's contact information, the star shows you that they are in the favorites. Next up is the Contacts app itself. This is just going to show me the list of all of my Rolodex cards in my contacts. I had mentioned that the top left has groups, so if you have more than one set of contacts on your iPhone or iPad, you can add or remove them and not see them just by unchecking them. So if I make these changes and then click on done, I've basically told my phone not to show me contacts from either one of these accounts. So when I click on done, all of my contacts are gone. If I go back to groups, top left, and then I select all iCloud for my personal iCloud account, leave my business iCloud account turned off, and then click on done. Now I'm only seeing my personal contacts. Of course, I'm going to go back to groups and I'm just going to click on the option at the top to show all contacts. And now when I click on done, everybody is back where they should be. In the contacts field, I have an alphabet to the right. The alphabet is going to show me an opportunity to tap on the alphabet, and as I start dragging, this is how I can advance through the list by one letter at a time. I can kind of leap through my contacts pretty quickly and easily. There's another thing that I think is really worth noting. If I go into a contact In this case, I'm going to do a search for Anthony Monica. And as I scroll down, I'm going to see the word Zuni, which is the street that I live on, in the notes for Mr. Monica. So I had made a tag, or I have put an attribute or a characteristic into the notes for this person so that later I could go and search by this attribute to see all things that match. In my case, Zuni is a street that I live on, and every contractor or service person or person that helped me at the home, I've always put Zuni into their contact information. And so now when I get to the top of my list of contacts under the search field, I can just type in Zuni. And what ends up happening is I'm get shown a list of everybody that has ever walked in the door, whether they were an architect or a drywall guy, or maybe they're a neighbor whose name I can never remember, or a designer that helped me. This is a really valuable trick for you to know about, and it makes it really easy for you to find people and organize your contacts in different ways. If I needed to add a new contact, I would just tap on the plus in the top right. And the other thing that I wanted to make sure that we knew is that I can always change the name. If I click on edit and I'm editing this contact, I can tap on the word work here and change the label to maybe that's actually her iPhone number or that's her home number. Or if I wanted to, I could make a custom label, like maybe her husband's name is Rick and I wanted to put Rick Sell to differentiate that particular number in their list of contacts. That's a pretty powerful feature because now when April calls me, if this number had changed to have a label of Rick Sell, when she calls me, it would say April Avalos at the top, and then beneath that, it would say Rick Sell. So I would know to pick it up and say, "Hey Rick, how's it going?" instead of saying, "Hey April, how's it going?" So that's kind of a cool trick to know about as well. Next up is keypad. If I tap on the keypad, this is pretty basic. If I was going to punch in a number, I can do so on this nice big keyboard, and I can then click on add number. And when I add this number, I have an opportunity to create a brand new contact or to add this person to an existing contact. If I was to goof up on the number while I was doing it, I can just tap on this button to erase the last few digits and change it back to what it should be. Last but not least is voicemail. When I look at my list of voicemails, I can see that David Buell left me a message yesterday. It's 35 seconds long. If I tap on that area near David's name, it's going to reveal all of the different things that I can do and get the details for this particular message. I can see just by the timeline here that it's 35 seconds long. I can grab this little blue dot or gray dot and drag it left to right, and I'm literally scrolling around within the message. This is really handy if I'm trying to listen to something and I need to hear the phone number again or any other part of the conversation that or the message that they left. That's really helpful for me because I might want to just scroll to the very end to get their phone number or when they said they're going to be available for a callback. And some people leave us some pretty long messages, and that can be pretty handy. A few other things I wanted to point out that you can click on this button for the speaker, and you can click on the button to the right of that that looks like a little phone to call this person back. A great tip is that whenever I go to listen to a voicemail, the minute that I tap on David's name to get to the details for the message, the very first thing that I will do is tap on that speaker button so that I can hold my phone away and keep looking at the screen while I look at the message in case I need to rewind or fast forward. If I wanted to delete it, I simply hit the trash button. And the play button, of course, is that little VCR looking play triangle on the left underneath where it says 0:12. Top right of this message to the right of his name, you'll see our share button. If I click on this, I can literally just text this audio recording, send this voicemail message to anybody just by way of this screen. And now, let's just say I wanted to text it to somebody. I would tap on my little share button. I would tap on message again, and then I would start typing someone's name. And if I wanted to text this to my friend Jonathan, then I would say, "Here is David's message." Okay, so that is the phone app and a lot of the things that we talked about. I hope this helps, and I'm going to do another video that reveals all of our text messages.